Okay, I'd like to call the August 1st, 2023. What? Oh. 2023 Raytown Board of Aldermen Committee of the Whole meeting to order. It is now 6:05 p.m. Let's see if I've got everybody on staff with me here. Is there anybody else on staff that's supposed to be here that we don't have here? Okay. That's what I was kind of trying to find her again. Teresa, are you there?
I'm here.
Oh, okay. I couldn't see you anywhere. Hang on just a minute. There she is. Good afternoon, evening, I guess I should say. All right. Do the roll call, please.
Alderman Walters.
Absent.
Alderman Scott. Alderman Azier.
Here.
Alderman Hayden.
Here.
Alderman Myers.
Here.
Alderman Emerson.
Here.
Alderman Gaza.
Here.
Alderman Van Buskirk.
Here.
Alderman Mims.
Here.
Alderman Krizak.
Hang on just a second. Yeah, there's something's not right here. Hang on. Trying to fix it right now.
Okay.
Here.
Here.
There we go.
Here.
We do harmony.
All right. We are live, rock and roll. Okay. New business. First of all is the August 9th, 2022 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Miss Emerson,
Oh,
Miss Mims, you got the second. And call the roll if there's no discussion. No discussion, call the roll.
Yes.
Alderman Emerson. Alderman Mims.
yes.
Alderman Scott.
Yes.
Alderman Krizak.
Abstain.
Abstain.
Alderman Hayden.
Abstain.
Alderman Van Buskirk.
This is just for the April 9th, right?
Just for August 9th.
Or August 9th. I just got the month wrong, that's all.
August 9th.
Yes.
Alderman Azier.
Yes.
Alderman Myers.
Yes.
Alderman Garza.
Abstain.
All right. How many yeas did we have on that?
They've passed.
It passed. Next is the July 11th, 2023 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes.
So moved to approve.
So moved Miss Mims, second by Miss Hayden. Mr. Van Buskirk, oh, never mind. Okay, remember, the only time you need to push the button at the side of your microphone is if you are waiting to be called on to comment. Otherwise, just use the button at the
I
bottom.
did it to make the motion. But since it's made,
Yeah, you weren't the one I was talking to.
We're finally trying to get the buttons together.
Was it you, Mr.
I think it was me.
Van Buskirk? Okay, but there were several others lit up for some reason. Okay, we'll get this down pat one of these days. All right. So, Ms. Mims made the motion.
Yes.
Ms. Hayden made the second.
Yes.
Okay. You were too slow. Okay. Call the roll.
Alderman Mims.
Yes.
Alderman Hayden.
Yes.
Alderman Scott.
Abstain.
Alderman Krizak.
Abstain.
Alderman Emerson.
Yes.
Alderman Van Buskirk.
yes.
Alderman Azier.
Abstain.
Oh, I was.
Alderman Myers.
Yes.
Alderman Garza.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Oh, well, it's all right.
Ms. Mims.
I was confused.
She would have-
I would like to say yes. Can you change that to S, Teresa? Yes? Thank you.
I will.
Can I ask before I move on, because I'm a little confused, not confused, confused. The button on the side, when it's red, what is that? What does it
When
mean?
you push that, it shows over here that you're waiting your turn to speak on a matter.
Okay, so when it's blue,
If you just are making a motion, you just tap it down here to talk and say I make a motion.
that's the green one. Thank you.
That turns on the actual mic. The other one doesn't turn anything on. It just lights it up over here so I know you're waiting. Yeah, and it turns blue and it does all kinds of things. But only the one at the bottom of the microphone is the one that turns on the sound.
But over here, the red is no.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what color it is. It's just, it lights it up over here. So
we'll get your attention by hitting
yeah. Yes. Yeah.
You might want to turn me off.
Okay, let's go to number 3, fiscal year 2023, 2024 department budget presentations. First up, Parks, Dave Turner.
Before we get into that, Mayor, I just wanted go ahead, come on up, Dave. So we have some new members to the board, just kind of explain the process. Ultimately, these next two meetings, we have committee as a whole. Each of the departments will present their budget items as a draft. After that, at the end of this month, usually early September, we provide you all a binder with those draft items along with some revenue items. By that time, you've been heard about the sewer rate proposal along with your, well, hopefully, with our setting our levy with Jackson County, but we'll see how that goes. Sometimes that's delayed in what it does. At that time, we'll give you all a binder that has the different ones. Please feel free to make notes on these items as you go through. Some of them, I can tell you right now, when I get to you, we'll have some revisions to them. We're using spreadsheets, moving them over, things like that. During the month of September, there'll be an opportunity to talk to myself, along with Missy and Mike, about items you may have concerns about, and kind of go through that. We'll bring it back to you all as a full budget, and we try to pass that budget the first meeting in October. Just kind of give you a quick rundown of how things go. So. And we try to utilize the things you guys came up as goals during our strategic planning to come up with how we came up with the budget. So, Dave, you're up first.
What color is your microphone? I can't see it with the water bottle. There it is. Blue.
All right. Good evening, everybody.
Good
Okay,
evening.
here, looking at the summary of revenues and expenditures and fund balance at the Park Fund. Right there up top, if we go all the way to the dark highlighted column, 2023-24, you will notice that the park revenues are projected to be $2.7 million. If you look through the history of that, we are well above what is standard. And that is due to these grants that we are going for. We're going to have about $1.5 million worth of grant revenue coming back to the city from our projects. That's well above what we normally collect in taxes throughout the year. So just wanted to point that out. And our total of expenditures at $3.288 million. There are going to be about $500,000 more spent on these grant projects than revenue brought in. One of them is a matching grant, 50-50 matching. So in the total of our projects, it would be $4 million, and we would be recovering $3.5 million once all these grant projects are completed. We could turn the page here, and I would like the detailed summary of the Park Fund revenues. If we go down to about the middle of that page, those the grants underneath the property taxes, general sales tax, we get down to the grants. That is where that is laid out. We are expecting to receive back from an LWCF grant in the next year's budget, $456,000. That is because we plan to collect another $50,000 still in this budget year. So we're going to get some of the revenues in this budget year. and then complete that grant next year, knock on wood. Then we do have the grants at 53rd Street redevelopment. We put some money there because if we can get to that project, we need to have that shown in the budget. The main goal, though, is the Carnegie redevelopment, the $1 million there. That is a 100% funded grant, so there is no funds, no tax funds, local tax funds that will be spent on these projects. That is the main part of where all of these revenues are coming from. That makes the parks budget in this upcoming year look so much different than it ever has, and that these revenues are so much higher than they typically had. There, if you look at the very next page, you can see that $2.7 million in revenues is, again, just wildly higher, and basically that $1.5 million is paybacks and grants. If we take the next page, the Park Fund Department budget, this is a breakdown of just basically where our allotment is put in the budget. Personnel services went up dramatically this year. Supplies and charges is relatively close. We did have a couple items where we did have to increase our budget expense amounts on that. I will go through that here in just a little bit. Utilities, about the same. Capital expenditures, those are our big projects. That's where a lot of our projects and our grant work is going to be done. That is about all I need to talk to right there. And if we get into our expense categories, again, the civilian employees, that's a pretty dramatic increase there. It's also in the benefits. There's a couple benefits. Last year, through our talks with Michael Graham, he had seen that we were not representing very well our health benefits that the Parks Department had been claiming that they're entitled to. It was just in the formula that we were using to show those, it was not accurate. So he found that, we updated that, and so now that is a more accurate number on health insurance of the parks employees. Most of these numbers are just about the same. We tried to stay as level as we could at other aspects of the parks budget. If we do go all the way down to about the bottom of that page, there is an increase mowing. That's way at the bottom, contractual services. The rest of those numbers stayed pretty much the same. In fact, we even took out a couple of the line items there. But our mowing contract we are in our third year. They're doing great. The company's been wonderful for us, but we do have to rebid that. So gas prices 3 years ago are much less, so I'm pretty certain we're going to see an increase in the mowing budget, even though we're doing basically the same things. And then roll back over, excuse me. The very next line item, repairs and maintenance. The increase I would like to point out on this one, we'll be talking about this later in the agenda tonight. The trim tree work, that is the very bottom at the repairs and maintenance supplies, that is the increase shown up here over last year. We are asking for $15,000 more in a Missouri Department of Conservation trim grant. Typically, we ask for a $13,000 grant, and then we recover $10,000. It was about a 75% reimbursable grant. The trim grant this year, because of our classification as a second-tier city, it will be 90%. So we were more comfortable asking for more money, and we'll talk about the details of that is on the agenda later tonight. But we wanted to represent that and be very obvious that, as you can see, last year we asked for $13,500 in that. This year we're going bigger because they pay back at a higher rate. So we will actually be out of pocket about the same for that much more work. And then the last thing I wanted to point out, it's the second to very last line. Budget appropriation BMX. Our BMX track had worked under the Raytown Park Board and spent city funds and had to follow the city purchasing policy for years, 23 years, I believe it was. This current year took the steps needed to become a 501c3 independent organization. They are their own organization now, and we still want to be able to contact or support them by doing a grant where we can turn them loose. They will fill out a grant document that we have come up with. If they fill it out correctly, they answer all the questions the way we are comfortable with, we give them that money, and then they will report at the end of the year about what we did with that and not have to follow volunteers and talk them through the purchasing policy every time they want to spend money. They were turning in receipts so that they would be reimbursed back out from the city. It was just kind of a messy situation that we had limped along through for 20 years. And so that has been resolved, but we are still going to be funding them at some level. Not at 100% level, but we are going to put in our budget $25,000 for a grant for the BMX track. In the current budget year, it was $35,000. So we are planning that in future years, that will be, the number will be a zero. They will get down to a sustainable amount, and we'll just give them support in other ways that we can, either through maintenance expertise or contacts. But the goal is to get them off our budget roll completely. And then I wanted to turn and go right back to the very front page. As we look at the very far right column again, that highlighted column, we get down to the unrestricted fund balance and then the total fund balance. As you can see, we have been leaning heavily into our reserve fund balance. There was something that the Board of Aldermen had said that we needed to spend down. And so going after these grant projects that we have, the tennis court last year, we just filed for grants this year, so we're in for $1 million demolition grant. We do have to pay that out and then get reimbursed at a 50% rate. So that is what is driving the fund balance to go lower. Is that it was uncomfortably high for some folks in the Board of Aldermen, but we do want to just point that out, that is coming down, and that if this trend continues, we're going to get into a situation where we will not be able to fund our side of the grant. We can apply for some of these grants, but we need to have the money to pay it front in full so that we can get reimbursed for that. So just wanted to put that bug in your ear that our fund balance is going lower, and that is kind of by design. Inevitably, if we're going to go for these big grants, that's going to cost us. So, but it is the most effective way to get these jobs done. Does anybody have any questions?
Ms. Hayden?
Thank you so much for this, but can I ask, or can you make it plain to everybody what the capital expenditures, what we're doing with Super Splash?
Sure.
And Carnegie, the redevelopment?
Sure. That's a big part of the budget. I shouldn't have gone over that so fast. Let me go to the last page here. Okay. The Super Splash redevelopment, the LWCF, that is the 50-50 matching grant. That is going to be demolish an old water park that has been out of service since 2017. It is kind of a safety hazard right now. We're going to flatten out that land, take out all the pools, the buildings, fill in all the old water lines that are there, and then create a dog park in the back parking lot. That would be the south parking lot. There'll be a dog park over there, and that is the way that project will be complete, is that we will have a dog park and a parking lot and flat land. So that our next step coming along, the 53rd Street Super Splash redevelopment, that is the HUD Community Funding Project grant. It was basically an earmark. That is going to be the 100% funded grant. And so we put some money there. We put, again, $100,000 there because we're hoping to get there next year and be able to do some work on that property and to start developing it, building a brand new park. But at our first step is the next one down, that Carnegie redevelopment. That is also part of that HUD grant, and that's 100% funded. And with that one, we were going to demolish the old brick restrooms that are there, that have been there since probably 1966. They are very old and need attention. There is no handicap access with those restrooms. So we're going to put in basically a two-sided male, female with decent handicap access, rework our handicap accessibility to that building. We're going to have some storage in that building. We are going to get rid of the old skate park equipment, bring in new skate park equipment. That's going to be roughly $210,000 for that. We're going to look at putting in an ADA compliant playground surface on the main playground at Carnegie Park up in the middle of that park. It was installed last year. And then address some trail issues. We have some grades on our trails that are not ADA compliant. And when we're doing that much work, we really need to make sure that we are accessible in as many places as we can be. So those are the goals of the big projects there. And then we do have a parks improvement, and that is in the case of, again, last year we had a neighboring house catch on fire. The city had the opportunity to take that as a donation and demolish that house so it was not a safety hazard anymore. We get the land at taking on that expense. So there is a bit of money there so that we can make moves in the future that maybe we don't see what they are yet. Maybe we need to replace a computer system. Maybe we need to do some emergency tree work or a purchase. Truck breaks down, we need to replace it. We wanted to have some money in there for a park improvement so that we are not completely helpless if an opportunity arises.
Bill Van Buskirk.
Thank you, Director. Appreciate it, the information. I did have one question relative to supplies, services, and charges going back to, well, if you go back to 2021 or 21-22,
Okay.
pretty significant from 2021, about 93,000 increase, and then up to what's budgeted. And same thing with repairs and maintenance, probably about a 45,000 from actual in 21-22. So why do we have that sharp an increase in those two categories?
Okay.
I know you talked about the tree thing as
Yeah.
maybe that's included in one of those, but it looks like more than that probably.
For the repairs and maintenance, that is actually, that was the tree grant. It went up $15,000, and that's pretty close to where we were. If you look at the projected, or you talk about the projected from 2022?
Right.
The actual from 2022?
Right.
I think we just did not spend a lot of those monies because we were doing a project out at Carnegie Park. We rebuilt the playground out there, and we did the tennis court project. That was a $448,000 project. And I think that we just reserved our resources on that and didn't spend as much in maintenance in other areas because we were taking on that project.
Okay. And the increases now probably would be justified by matching grant money possibly that you're utilizing. I know you're having to add money to these grants, some matching money. Is that incorporated into some of those increases?
No, that would be the capital. That's down there. That capital went from $63,000 projected this year up to over $2 million. So the capital, most of those grants are reflected in that capital expenditures, the bigger grants.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Myers.
Okay, Dave, I'm kind of off today, so feel free to just call me dumb or something. Okay, so for the grants, in the revenue section, we're reflecting revenue coming in for the grant. You're also reflecting in the expenses, cash going out. Does that also takes into consideration the actual reimbursement if it's a 50-50 grant?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's already accounted for and reflected?
That is it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I was looking at interest earnings, how we've been hovering around $2,000, and then all of a sudden we go up to like 48, 49,000, 30,000.
Yeah.
Are we moving money around to get some interest, or?
No, the interest rates have actually changed that much. When we're holding roughly $1 million in the bank, that stuff adds up.
It does.
As I mentioned in my presentation on the mid-year, a lot of the interest rates have risen, as have the prime interest rates that the Fed's charging. Every time they go up, so does our investment rates.
Yep.
So you're seeing that in that number.
So we're not on any type of like fixed rate investments or anything. It's all variable.
We are long-term, yes, on some of them. The others are fluid in the bank like UMB, and we're getting about 3.6% per annum on that.
It's a lot better than the 10% that I've been getting the last several years. Okay, and the last question, other income under miscellaneous, the $25,000, do you know what
That's the trim grant.
That's the trim grant, okay.
We talked about that, is we have all these other grant revenues and accounts to put those in, and we just put that in other revenue just to kind of keep it out of the way of our bigger grants.
Okay,
Yep,
sounds good.
that's exactly where that came from.
Thank you.
Ms. Creedy?
What is it, just a curiosity question, what is a typical turnaround out of the grant reimbursements?
The Land Water Conservation Fund, they're fairly quick. It's less than a month. When we submit everything and we're in compliance and they agree, we typically should get that back in less than a month, maybe 6 weeks on the outpost. If it's the first time that we apply for a reimbursement, so that may take a little bit longer than when we apply later. Once the revenue stream is open between the two agencies, that can go fairly smoothly.
Okay, yeah. I got one more question.
Sure.
Okay, you mentioned that the Board of Aldermen didn't like you having too much money in reserve, so is there a statute that governs that, or?
No, but it is very odd for a department to have more in holdings than they would bring in revenue in a year. That's not standard at all. But we did have a park board that liked seeing that high number. They had security in seeing that there was a large number there. They felt that they were being protective of the tax dollars. But at the same time, those are not really to be held. You know, we collect taxes, so we can use that money as a tool to accomplish tasks. So it's just two different ways of thinking on it. And the park board was thinking one way, and the city board of aldermen were saying, no, that number's too high. We want to see that number lower so that you're accomplishing more with the funds that you hold.
Sure.
That was it. Fair points on both sides.
Ms. Bims?
Thank you.
I was going to go there just to share a little bit of what happened with that. And with it sitting there, and it was time for them to go before the voters as far as a tax piece. And so to make sure that it was going to pass, we did a 70-30, was it 70-30?
75-25.
75-25?
That's it.
And so then they were able to show the people that they were utilizing the funding by bringing it down some and repairing some of the things that were needed in the parks. So in showing them this, when they go to do their next tax piece that they wanted to do, am I doing this correct?
That's 100%.
They really want to go for the next one. I don't know if they're going to do it in the next year or so, but they wanted to do 100%. I wasn't sure at that point when I was discussing it if it was going to pass in the constituents by being 100% or trying to leave it at 75-25 or 80-20, one of those, but that needs to be worked out. But at least they're showing that they have utilized the money that they had and start fixing the things that were in the park. It's a lot of stuff that they went out there and did, which was fixing some of the lighting, the security piece. I went through it and line by line, so I wouldn't miss nothing this time. So did I do it correct?
You did very well. Yeah.
Thank
The
you.
security contract is something that it's a small part of the budget, but it really helps in the amount of trouble that we have and how the safety of our neighbors. So we're happy to be in a contract with a security company that helps us out.
Very good. Ms. Garza?
Yeah, no, I was going down the same line. I had made a note of that, the spin down, so I appreciate the backstory and the history of that and why, so thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, anyone else? Thank you, Dave.
All right.
Excellent presentation as usual.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, next, Police Chief Bob Kuehl, step forward. We got 30 minutes, so. Yeah, that's why I said that. We only got. Just kidding.
There we go. Evening, everybody. So when I do these presentations, I try to look at the information from your perspective and provide kind of an executive summary of what I think would be relevant or interesting to the group, kind of read the room. And we've been reading each other for quite a while, so hopefully what I bring up will be of interest to you, and obviously we'll answer questions and unpack whatever more detail that you'd like. But hope that sounds okay to everybody. So what I want to do is I want to kind of divide the presentation into two parts. I want to make kind of just a general comment on the budget as a whole, and then I want to drill down into some of the line items that I think maybe would jump out at me if I were you, and just give a little bit more detail on that. So that said, I want to lead with a tidbit, because this is always fascinating to me when I share this, because it gives a very unique perspective about law enforcement. And I always find it amazing whenever I talk about it. 90% of our budget is personnel costs. So we live, work, and play on the remaining 10%. Everything else gets accomplished there. And I don't know that there's any, it's not really a criticism or anything, or it's just an observation. I just find those numbers to be pretty fascinating. So on to the first part. Just a general comparative observation. The fiscal year 23 approved budget was $5.912 million, and the requested FY24 budget is $6.352. That's a delta of $439,000 increase, and I'll refer you back to the tidbit. Really, that's mostly tied to the increases in salary from the pay study. And I do want to take a minute to say, I've talked to a lot of people, and it's not really, I won't take long, because I know this is, you're here to talk about more things, but it is liberating to work in a city that's willing to put their head down and just run into the storm, in a place that hasn't been explored for 25 years, and the massive heavy lifting that comes with it, and the challenging conversations and the support and everything is, man, I've shared that more times than I can think. And when you live in a department where 90% of your budget is personnel costs, those kind of things are a big deal. So that's really the primary thing I wanted to point out about generally the last year's budget and this year's budget. So I've got some interesting stuff, I hope, down in the weeds, but any comments or thoughts on that before we get into some detail? Evening, sir. Okay, so on some specific items.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I did have.
Yes, sir.
I had one question in regards to repairs and maintenance on the first page of that.
Can we wait till he gets done with his presentation? And
Okay,
we'll
well,
go to
he just said, is there?
I understand that, but the idea is let him do his presentation, then we can start asking questions.
Okay, well, he just said if we had any questions, ask him, so I'll wait.
Whatever you want.
Yeah, go ahead and let's do that, because otherwise it'll bounce all over the place, so.
I don't know that I'll cover that one, so we'll be happy to answer it. So if you look at page 12, you'll see an increase. Well, one thing I did want to put, there's an increase in a full-time position on page 12 for the property and supply person. That is an addition to our staff. That's really an exercise in risk mitigation and succession planning. Our part-time person retired. Brad Schwartz, who's been doing it for a long time, will be retiring shortly, and he is the keeper of all guns, drugs, money, and evidence, to which I do not even have access. So getting the right person in place and getting them spun up about all the detail that's associated with that, so we don't start getting our you-know-what handed to us in court or wind up in court ourselves, is very important. So that's the reason you see that increase down there. We're not adding anybody. We're just getting ready for the departure of someone. On page 14, under recruitment and advertising, you'll see kind of a general figure of $15,000. And I'm tell you up front, I'm not exactly sure what we're going to do with that yet, but here's the plan. The plan is that ordinary doesn't work anymore when it comes to recruitment and finding new people. We're all hunting from the same 40-acre field, and it's getting very limited out there. I don't know that the trajectory is changing. So I'm big on subject matter expertise, so we're going to take part of that money, and we're going to go through whatever process we need to, but we're going to bring in a professional marketing firm. We're going to explore options with them, maybe even have a professional video created as opposed to people who have extremely talented hobbyists. We want to get some professionals in. We want to get some subject matter experts in. What would you do? Because when you deal with, this is no different than any other challenge that people, want to sell widgets, find widgets, have people buy their widgets. So we're going to use some of that for that. A great quote, I wish I could give credit for it, is limitation creates innovation. And, the limitations on staffing are huge. So it's time to get innovative, and something like this, is what changes ordinary to extraordinary. It's just putting the word extra on the front end. So this is going to be an effort in our extra, but it's a pretty good chunk, and it's kind of an even chunk, so it would jump out at me if I were you. The other one is the patrol equipment, the JAG grant. We know exactly what we're getting, $16,000 and a little change, but we're unsure what our needs are and what we will use that for, because every day for us is in light pencil. But we will use every penny of it. That I promise you. We will use that grant fully. The other one I wanted to comment real quickly on was the MDL network support. We spend about that each year. Gosh, one of the best investments we have. If we could find IT professionals who are hard to find, extremely expensive, and headhunted away 6 months after you get them, it would cost, we'd have to hire 2 or 3 full-time people for the support services that we get from these folks who are able to stay up on all the training. They are amazing, and I don't give that 5-star rating lightly. But that's a big chunk of money, so I wanted to explain it. Under education and training on page 19, it's not a large amount of saving, but every dollar matters, and I think stewardship has to be exercised. But it also wanted to just give a shout out to the process of continuous improvement and evaluation that our team engages in. Our current online training system, we were spending about $8,200 a year, and we've moved to Police One, which is more robust, more interactive, and frankly more entertaining for the officers. It fits in better with the generational, who likes to see what, when, where, why, and how. And we're doing that for $5,100. So $3,000 might make or break the bank, but it's nonetheless a better product, a more engaging product, a more useful product. And when it comes to the 2 things that are going to get you in trouble in the world, is failure to train and failure to supervise. Failure to supervise is really just a subset of failure to train. So when we continue to improve the training that's available, plus having to keep people on the streets, this was a good shift. Last, before questions, I wanted to point you to the capital expenditures. We're replacing 4 vehicles. We are not increasing the fleet this year by anything. We're just replacing 4 that need it. And one of the things we're going to try to do is replace one of the SUVs with an evidence van that's actually built for crime scene processing, because as it is now, everybody hauls everything out, fits what they can in the car. They have really nice stuff, and they have really nice cases that it's in, but we want to have it all in one place, improve the efficiency and effectiveness of what they need to do in that arena. So those were kind of the talking points and specific items that I had. And that said, I'll turn it over for any questions.
Bill Van Buskirk.
Thank you, Chief.
Hello, sir.
I just want you to know I appreciate the job you're doing,
Thank you.
the direction the department is going, and
It's a team effort, trust me. You know
the
that.
direction you're taking it. Thank you. I have confidence in where you're going with it. The one question I was going to ask about, and I'm sure there's a good explanation, under general fund on the first page, which would be page 12, but of the packet we have here, but under repairs and maintenance from back in 2021, it was at 96,549, and then jumped a significant increase of maybe 60,000, and then this year probably up to 70,000 maybe increase. What was that? What caused that sharp increase from what it was back in 2020, 2021 to where it is now?
No, I may default to Dion a little bit. I know that some of it has to probably do with some of the Motorola, some of the infrastructure, and the consoles and the radios and things like that. They're just getting more higher tech, more resilient, and they cost a lot more. But there may be some more detail that Dion might.
Shoot, man, you got me up high.
Yep.
You got me up high, man. I was trying to answer the question too. Part of it, Alderman Van Buskirk, is that's during COVID time frame. So you're actually going to see all of us with a less amount during that time frame. So majority of the repairs and maintenance were actual costs as well in the budget, and the one we're doing right now is budgeted costs. But during that time frame, almost all of us will have a less amount during that time frame for that 2020 to 2021.
Okay, and I do know that the radio thing was big. I don't know if that's part of it, but
yeah, I don't know specifically what the items were or what what the increase was without having to go back and look a couple of years ago. It's possible that some of it may have been moved from PSST into the general fund to try to manage that. I don't know, though, without looking at the previous budget years.
It just caught my attention.
Yeah.
It's, it's significant increase took place there, and it's kind of, stuck out. So, not suggesting it shouldn't have happened. I just was curious if you knew why that had happened.
Yeah, I don't remember off the top of my head what it was.
Okay.
Looking back that
If
far.
you get the information, you can send it to me. I appreciate it. I'm fine with where you're at.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Damon. It's COVID related. That's if the person at the Hy-Vee tells me one more time I can't get something because COVID, I don't know. I'm going to start growing my own vegetables, I think. But.
Ms. Emerson.
Thank you. I see that there's 7 detention technicians. Can you explain why we have 7 of them?
Why, with the shift, and we would like to have, but with the shift rotations, days off and scheduling, and just for officer safety, it's a risk mitigation. We have to entertain their days off, their vacation. We have to anticipate that somebody may be off on sick or injury leave or something like that. But generally speaking, that unit is maintaining all services at the counter, so everybody that walks in, they're responsible for that, as well as prisoner processing, the cell checks, feeding them, and all of that. So with the shift rotation and everything, that's what's necessary.
And I see there's like a $50,000 increase in commission officers' overtime.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're trying to, you mean the overtime that was expended?
Well, what you've anticipated, 366,988, when it was 314,912.
Yeah, I think that what we anticipate as much as we can are, we have to hire back to have our minimum staffing on the streets. Sometimes we have to hire back to put people in detention. Sometimes we have to use officers off the street, but essentially a lot of that is just to maintain our minimum staffing based on the level of staffing that we currently have. Because they often put requests out, can you come, hey, we need 2 people for the evening shift on Friday and Saturday and 2 on Tuesday. So that's just it's a projection, and as staffing increases, that will improve.
My only other comment was on the last page, under admin, is that laptop instead of laptop?
What page are you on, ma'am?
Page 21.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Under 205-3200-100-57, 205-2200-100-57000. Administrative, I think that's supposed to be laptop if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct. That's for admin.
Yeah, that's the only thing we have on that page are the vehicles.
21, on page 21 of 40, it says expense category, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down, 6 down, under admin.
Under capital is a citywide item, sales tax wise. So admin along with public works, PD, and community development all come out of that fund for different items that are capital seen. So the one portion, the designation is based off of the department itself. So 32 is the police items only. The one above that is admin. The one above that is citywide, like building improvements. One below that is public works. So typically we try to, public works probably takes the major portion of that one.
Whatever. I just, I don't know what that meant. I thought that should be laptop and it's something else. So.
It is a laptop, but it's spelled with a B and it should be a P.
Oh, okay. All right.
This is misspelling on that one.
Okay. That's all I have.
Mr. Aaron.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. When I first looked at the budget, I thought, well, we're making a stride forward to spending maybe $400,000 more in our budget. And then as I look at the figures, I noticed that one item, the workers' compensation, accounted for $284,000 of that increase, which is over half of it, obviously. Why? That's the biggest increase of anything in the budget. Why are we spending that much more on workers' compensation insurance?
On what part are you?
Before it was $188,000.
Where are you on your?
23. I'm on second page, inside page. It says workers' compensation. We spent in 23 $188,000. This year it's $472,407, which is about $284,000 of the increase that we're spending in our budget is mostly on that item.
Alderman,
what caused that increase? That's about 150%.
yeah, I think it's related to probably more of a formula situation, so we're going to have to cleanse it and see if that's the case. But they're basically, based on their salaries, there's a certain percentage that they're charged. But that percentage, I don't think, went up that high, so we need to check out and see exactly what the item is.
Yeah, I just thought that was, not quite understanding why that happened. I mean, I know it did, but that's, like I said, the biggest chunk of the increase of our budget. I thought that made it kind of tough on you to have to, when you're adding $100,000 too for the overtime, that accounts for pretty much the total increase of this year's budget. So, interesting. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Walters?
Yes, my apologies for being late. It was an emergency at home, but it's taken care of now.
Sure.
Yeah, you had mentioned as I came in, you were talking about using recruitment, new techniques in recruitment. I'm a little lost on that. Exactly how do you do this for bringing new officers into the fold?
Well, that's why we're going to engage with some subject matter experts who can market just about anything. It's kind of like bringing a project management expert in for a big project. We may know what we want it to look like at the end, but when you bring a subject matter expert in about how should we market, what should our video include, what attracts people, what's the data out there that is attracting people to social media and all those things like that. What we often try to do is we often try to utilize as much expertise as we can in-house, but we're going outside of our house and we're bringing experts in who are in that field, and we're going to ask them what we haven't thought about, what we should try because the ordinary isn't working, and so it's time to look outside the box.
You've used this technique before?
What's that?
You've used this technique, this
haven't had to. Never been in this as a, this is the first time we've encountered this, so we're in new ground.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Benz?
Chief, I was looking at the wish list, so I just want to make sure I'm on the right page here. Down here where it says patrol officers, on the first page, and you have 16, and so we hoping to get 2 more in 2024, where it says 18.
Well, I'm hoping to get like 11.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
there
No.
with you. I just want to make sure.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And then I looked up, and we have 4 captains now.
Yes.
For 2023, and we'll have those the same in 2024.
Correct.
Okay. I'm letting you know I'm reading line by line.
Mm-hmm.
So then I came down to the patrol sergeant. We have 4 patrol sergeants down patrol officers. Okay. And we'll be able to stabilize and hold on to them for 2024.
Yeah, we need to. Whatever we need to do, because, the first line supervisor is the most powerful rank on the department. It's probably where most of the risk is either incurred or mitigated. So, if anything, we need more of those. But we've got corporals, too, that serve the role as kind of an acting sergeant when they need to.
Oh, okay. So they go back and forth sometimes.
Yes, correct.
Okay, so that's the overlap we got. And then, because I looked over on the side where the difference is, that means 2. So I'm hoping to get 2 more, maybe more.
Yeah, the 2 and the 2, it's a push. It's just that we reallocate through the year. We evaluate where our table of organizations should be utilized. So we move people back and forth from patrol to investigations just based on what's going on. But that's a push. The only one that's an increase there is that property and supply. That's an increase overall. The other ones are just kind of even each other out.
So I'm just pleased to see that we're being stable and holding on to what we have, because at one time we lost a lot and trying to regain back. And then when we train them, a lot of times that's how we lose out. So I just want to make sure what I'm looking at here, that's your page is saying.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm glad to see where we are and hoping to see. I really would like to see where they can advance, where I'm looking down at the patrol officers and the patrol sergeants to be able to elevate them.
Absolutely. We're going
to
we're going to spend some of, we're going to actually revisit and rekindle sort of a leadership succession type of training down there. So we're getting ready to order some things for that.
Yeah. I know you got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Ms. Krizik, just remind everybody, we got 7 minutes. I hope you're going to be good at getting 7 minutes in. Ms. Krizik,
Quick
go
question.
ahead.
I noticed detectives, you reduced them by 2.
Well, it's we look at the org chart all the time. Those are not any changes that have been officially put in place. But as we evaluate the need for patrol certain times of the year versus the need for investigations, it sort of ebbs and flows. As I mentioned earlier, our days are in light pencil. So what we need today isn't what we need tomorrow or what we won't need next week. So that really just relates to how we move the bodies around. But it's pretty fluid.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. Excellent presentation. Appreciate
Thank you.
it every time. Damon?
Yes. I'll be acting in 2 today. I got Judge Fan is not able to attend both meetings. She asked me to present on her behalf. That's your first budget, court budget. As you can see, is that me? No. Oh, okay. All right. This sheet 23 of 40. Her personnel budget pretty much staying pretty even. The next portion, you'll see the largest increase in professional services. She has been requesting to have a metal detector to be put up during court. We're still analyzing that scenario because part of that would also need to provide security and other additional services in order to go forward with that. But you'll see in the budget there, that was $35,000 allocated for security for the metal detector. In the other portion of the budget, you'll see the metal detector itself was around $30,000. The other portion as far as equipment, it's the same as it was last year. Everything else is pretty much the same as it was last year. One of the things I want to point out is that you asked last year to show the budget from the previous year. Along with that, we've done that in this current budget here to kind of give you the reference point. But that's the largest increase that she had was that one there. That's it on that one.
Bill?
My question was going to be about the increase in supply services and charges, but you answered part of that with the metal detector. Mm-hmm. What is the cost of a metal detector?
That actually is in that your citywide, but it's around. We've looked at it from everything from 15 to 30,000, depending on what fits in your doorway and what do you need as far as services side.
Okay, and I just might add that a metal detector without an armed officer there manning it would be worthless.
Yeah. So I mean, you
But,
got that, along with insurance that is required for that, things of that sort. So there's things we're still analyzing regarding that one, along with the services that
it
provide.
certainly would be beneficial if you have the armed officer.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Right now, we have armed officer as our bailiff and other officers, but like she put in the budget, someone in case we need to have security to help supplement our current forces.
Very good. Thank you.
And you can see the increase in her budget is right around 60,000. All right, let's go to citywide.
Hang on a minute, Ms. Mills, I have a question.
My question, when it came down to the metal detector, and even though there's an armed officer in the room with her, and just because I've come into her courtroom, and it's something that I think we need to look at a little more serious. Even if we don't get the metal detector, then at least have 2 officers in there. It's been quite lively in her courtroom. So I'm just saying, if we're going to look at it.
Yeah, we are. We're going to analyze it all.
Thank you.
All right.
The next one. The next one is sheet 2440. You will see a major decrease this time, Alderman Van Busker, compared to before. It was a major increase, all the rest of them. That services, supplies, and charges, that 1.5 million compared to 275 was a COVID-related scenario. At that time, funds were provided. You had to put them in the citywide because they're utilized citywide, and those provided the revenue for buying everything from PPP, personal protection equipment, PPPE, and things of that sort that we had to do. So,
I'm going to stop you just for a minute.
Sure.
So we are at the 7 o'clock hour. I'm going to ask the board if you want to extend the time a little further so he can finish this up, and we'll have to start the meeting a little bit later, but I need you all to be okay with that and to approve that.
So move to approve it.
All right, Ms. Mims, you agree to that, and second by Ms. Laretha Hayden. But, go ahead and call the roll, Ms. Henry.
Alderman Mims,
Yes.
Alderman Hayden,
Yes.
Alderman Scott,
Yes.
Alderman Krizak,
Yes.
Alderman Emerson,
Yes.
Alderman Van Busker,
Yes.
Alderman Walters,
Yes.
Alderman Azier,
Yes.
Alderman Myers,
Yes.
Alderman Garza,
Yes.
Mr.
All
Mayor,
right.
you want to extend the
Carried.
time to 15 minutes or 30 minutes? Or what?
10.
We didn't put it
10
in there,
minutes?
but I think 15 minutes from looking at this, probably plenty, isn't it?
Yeah,
15?
that should be good.
Okay.
Yeah, so we didn't make that in the motion, but I kind
Got
of
it.
figured that would.
Got it. Put it
When
in.
he was done, he was done. Okay, so let's
me.
move on with it. Go
Okay.
ahead.
The next one, you'll see a decrease in, this is citywide. Citywide is like it says, it's funds we use from the general fund that goes citywide. The first one is the decrease in your American Rescue Plan Act. That $374,000 was part of the items we utilized for the incentive back last year. So that's why you see the decrease there. Your next portion, what you will not see, but you should see under professional services is a comprehensive plan. And that will add $120,000 to that as the estimated cost for the comprehensive plan. That will be in the regular budget. They should have got here, but the sheets, it did not transpose over. But that should be under professional services. The next one, actually everything else is pretty much the same until you get down towards the bottom. Under contractual services is the Mark Household Hazardous Waste. That's $30,000 is the estimated amount. That's something that's been in the budget off and on. Not sure if you guys want to move forward with that or not. It is something that is a citywide item. If you pay for it, I think their estimate that they gave me before is around $30,000. Could be up to $35,000 depending on the year. When I've analyzed it before, we're not sure how many people utilize it or will utilize it. It's something you got to do on a continual basis. I've asked them for several different programs, everything from can we just use it as we pay as we go, like we do with Missouri Organic. I asked them if there was a situation where we could just pay for half a year, kind of get an analysis, and then go from the. And they have kind of knocked me down at every scenario we've asked. So they've asked if we would like to move forward. I've had some residents request it. It's where you take things from paint, chemicals that are household items that you're not supposed to dump down your sinks or down the drain, things of that sort. You take them over. It's 2 locations, one on Doremus in KCMO. The other one is in Lee Summit. Due to the location, I have not been a real advocate of it for our citizens. But as we've done a recycling program, which we did get a grant from Missouri, from Mark regarding that, people have been asking for that when they come for So trying to get a feel for what you as a board would like to see from running that. I also looked at would it be if we can go directly and have them not require us to do a on-site, because part of being part of the program is you typically provide a once a year on-site program that maybe kind of help with the cost, and that was knocked down as well. So we kind of looked at that in quite a few different directions. The next two items you'll see that are decreased were your storm and your MDNR operating cost. If you look down towards the bottom, those items just not transpose over because we're not part of this current year budget. So. Your next one is governing body, the sheet 26. Governing body is pretty straightforward. It does have a slight increase because of the slight increase that was voted on by the committee that gave the increase to the new board members. But current board members during their term would stay where they were before. So the increase was pretty minimal in comparison. The next one is general fund for administration. On the admin side, you will see an increase on the personnel services due to some of the salary increases there. The other increase, the next significant increase probably would be, actually everything pretty much stayed the same. You have a small increase in your professional services at about $2,000 more, there, along with a slight one on the computer services, which is just increased for amounts. For the most part, the increase for the overall budget for admin was strictly due to salaries and due to the salary study increase, which includes not only salary but things that are reciprocated from that, from your increase to your, from everything from your FICA to your actual health insurance to also your loggers and deferred comp. Your next one is law. This is where we pay for our legal services. We did do an increase there of $5,000. Other than that, we have a part-time employee, which is our city prosecutor. We did the agreement with him just over 2 years ago, so this is already with this agreement, the increase there. So it's pretty standard. I think it's around 2%, and everything else is pretty straightforward. We kind of talked about capital sales tax earlier. That one we'll talk about more once Public Works presents in the upcoming meeting on August 15th. Your next one is your risk fund. If you scroll to page 40 of 40, the amount actually decreased. It's $120,000, $90,000 that is for budget that we do for claims, things of that sort. A lot of those are typically reimbursed by a certain amount from everything from if there's an accident with a vehicle, we pay up to our requirement for our insurance, and then they would pay for the rest. Or if there might be a claim as for someone might damage their vehicle in a pothole, we pay out of that claim amount as well. So we try to put them out there just as a placeholder, and if we reach that, we do. If we do not, we come back and explain where we may be at. And that's pretty much it on that.
Ms. Emerson has a question going back to the citywide fund.
Yeah.
Sure.
On the citywide marketing and branding, that has increased. Is that because of pricing, or are we going to do something?
Yeah, well, part of it is just doing something different to try to get more out there, but most of it's due to pricing. so many things have increased in price as far as everything from mailers to other things we might reach out. So we'll try to look at other ways we can help mitigate that. But yes, that's part of it.
Okay. And I'm glad to see that the hazardous waste has been put in there. And let's see if I have one other thing. Oh, and then on page 36, under admin, you need to change that word to.
Yeah, to
Okay,
laptop.
thank you.
No problem.
Anyone else? Thank you for your presentation. I hear a motion for adjournment. By Ms. Mims, so moved. Second by Mr. Van Buskirk. Let's do this by affirmation. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone against? All right, we are adjourned at 7:10.